welcome to Information Please, your Peoria Public Library program with all things going on in our community. Tonight, our evening's guest is Katie Baumel from the Lakeview Library. And how are you doing, Katie?
Really good.
Good. I kind of feel, before we get started, that this is a very special episode of Information Please. Do you kind of get that feeling?
I can see that.
Yeah. And the reason is because normally I don't dress down in my alternate uniform, but tonight I am wearing my Wonder Woman t-shirt because we are talking about a very special month-long event going on at multiple branches, the graphic novel Extravaganza, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people are going to wonder when they get their issue of Passages or when they're watching this show, graphic novels, what are graphic novels? So maybe you can kind of tell our audience a little bit about graphic novels versus comic books. How's that?
Sure.
Okay.
Comic books are more single issues of, like, I'll use Batman or Wonder Woman for an example, that come out monthly or quarterly, and it's just really thin, just single stories. Graphic novel can either be a collection of all those that completes this entire storyline, such as Christopher Nolan's Batman. Those might all be combined to make one big graphic novel, or it can be just a completely non-superhero, nothing like that, complete like novel, but with pictures and dialogue, thought bubbles, just made into one more novel, but with pictures. And then that also confuses people with comics, which is Garfield, Peanuts, Ziggy, Kathy, all of those. Those are
fuzzy
comics, not even comic books.
Daily serials.
Yes, daily serials.
The newspaper, for example, or online. So when I was little, many, many years ago, I loved the Wonder Woman comics, and I also loved Archie. I liked seeing what Archie and Jughead and Reggie were up to and the love affairs with Betty and Veronica. But I also remember going to piano lessons, and my piano teacher had comic books of the classics. So I particularly remember she had a treatment of Macbeth. And it sounds to me a little bit like, and I also remember she had a couple of Swamp Things from the 50s. So, it was kind of an interesting reading material. But graphic novels to me are a little bit kind of like a combination of the two. So you're getting maybe a little bit more of a storyline or a developed storyline or a continued storyline rather than just kind of the daily happenings, something light, something like that. Would that be a fair assessment?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so I think it's really interesting when I moved to Peoria that all of our library locations have a gigantic graphic novel section because they're quite popular.
Right.
Absolutely. And walking through that, I've noticed that maybe there's some material that's for younger people.
Yes.
And maybe some that would be geared towards older people. So how do you know kind of what to pick? If I'm going in and if I have a child with me, what's going to be a good way to select a graphic novel?
For the children, we do have them separated in our children's collection, so that'll help you so that you won't find anything inappropriate over there.
Good.
The kids often have animals in them. Baby Mouse is really, really popular with kids.
Okay.
About a sassy little mouse who gets into trouble. And there's some classics like you mentioned over there, or like Rick Riordan's books that are really, really popular. There's a lot of those that are condensed into graphic novels. But you can just kind of find more age appropriate for, like, the characters are the age your child is going to be if you go in there. And there's some superheroes over there too, but it's going to be more Superman toned down with appropriate dialogue that a 7-year-old can read or relate to, and not that the 30-year-old is also reading. Just, I don't know, more appropriate and suitable.
Now that's interesting because you bring up a very important point about graphic novels and kind of the evolution of graphic novels over the last 20 years or so. I noticed a recent study through the University of Ohio of about 120 seniors that they studied graphic novels with the intention of finding out if they could learn material better or easier. And it actually, the results showed that the material for this particular group of undergraduates was 80% of the people felt that they consumed the material and understood it better than the traditional textbook. So, for example, I brought an example of something that's a little more historic in nature. This is a book called March, Book 1. It was written by Congressman John Lewis, who was a contemporary of Martin Luther King Jr., and now he is a congressman from Georgia. This is actually a book that is entirely about the civil rights movement. So if somebody were to pick this up in the graphic novel section, it would look very much like a graphic novel, but upon closer inspection, it's actually kind of a historic document. Right. It's a nonfiction story told in a very easily consumable way. So I think it's important that we tell our audience that maybe we should say graphic novels not just for kids anymore.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, so that kind of brings us into some of the things that we have going on in our library locations. One of the things that we're going to have at both North Branch and at Lakeview, on Saturdays we're going to be showing movies that have kind of a graphic novel spin. Can you talk about those?
Yes, and we're taking two different approaches to it. The North Branch is going to focus on the films that are appropriate for truly all ages, from kids to their parents. Okay. And they're all going to be rated G and appropriate and based on, I can't think of their titles right now, but more.
Well, I can tell you those titles. They're going to be showing The Incredibles on June 21st at the North Branch. July 5th, they'll be showing Sky High. And then on July 19th, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All easy family fun flicks, we could say. Popcorn will be provided also.
Even better.
Even better. Even better.
And then at Lakeview, we're taking the spin on they're not just for kids. You don't have to be embarrassed to like them. And so we're offering an adults-only alternative to that on our Saturdays with showing Scott Pilgrim versus the World, or one of my personal favorites, Watchman.
Great movie. Yeah.
Definitely to have adults come in. And we're also going to have displays of all of our newest graphic novels in our collection on display. So you can come in, you can browse the graphic novels, maybe talk to another person who's browsing, find a common interest that you're both fans, or you can stay and watch the movie, watch your favorite scenes from the movie, and there'll be popcorn there too.
Good, good. So the adults and the children can get popcorn. Yes. That's very important. Now, Watchmen is an important graphic novel. That was kind of the first time I'd been introduced to the term graphic novel. And interestingly, I was an undergraduate at the University of Iowa, and I was an English major, like most of us librarians, and I took an entire course on graphic novels, and Watchmen was the centerpiece for that, and it had already been out for several years. So I'm glad to see that you're going to be kind of resurrecting a classic for the adult audiences out there, and definitely adult themes. So that's wonderful. Now, also, before we go any further, it's June, so we're going to be in the middle of summer reading. So for all those little kids and adults who are participating in summer reading, can they use their graphic novel reading time for their hours?
Absolutely.
Excellent. And would you like to review how they can come in and report their hours?
Yes. You have to stick with one branch, but once you've signed up at the branch you're going to go to the most, you'll, starting June 9th, you'll come in every week, sign your 3 hours that says I've read my 3 hours this week, and the sign-in weeks start on Monday, so you could read all day Sunday and be ready to report on Monday.
That's right.
And then, you'll just sign your name, and a staff member will put their initials saying they saw that you logged your hours, and that's pretty much the weekly
weekly check-in. So for all those people who are reading graphic novels, they count. They
Absolutely.
Count. We want you to check them out. We want you to read them. So also going on at the Lakeview branch, and this is interesting, you kind of have a resident graphic novel fan. So anybody who knows Rufus at the Lakeview branch, they know that he loves graphic novels. I'm wondering if he's going to be doing the graphic novel workshop. Is he?
He is for at least 2 of the dates.
Okay, let's talk to the people
But he's going to have a guest with him, though.
Oh, wonderful. Tell us about it.
A lady who is friends with our other coworker, Amy. She knows someone who just published a graphic novel that I don't know the name of.
Okay.
But she is going to make a guest appearance at 2 of our workshops at Lakeview. And so she and Rufus are going to kind of teach them the ins and outs of writing graphic novels. Because while I read them, I can't draw.
Right.
So I do not draw them or write them, but Rufus has all kinds that he's made from the time he was a kid and that he still makes. And so I think it'll be interesting to see him and this lady who now has one published, teaching the kids, here's what you do, And I've sat in with Rufus on these in the past, and he teaches them the splash pages, difference in the dialogue, the thought bubbles, how to roll all of this into one. So during the course of the 3 weeks, you'll end up with a finished graphic novel.
So it's 3 weeks.
Yes.
How often are you meeting?
Every Monday, not every Monday in June, June 9th, 16th, and 23rd at Lakeview.
At Lakeview. What time?
It's at 2:30.
2:30, perfect. And what kind of age range are we working with here?
I believe it's 10 to 16.
Oh, that's a good age range. Good. So some topical things that they can bring in from their lives.
Yes.
And I know that when I've seen other people design graphic novels, sometimes they get really sophisticated with their supplies. Do your participants need to bring anything with them, or what can they expect? Will supplies be provided?
Up to them. We'll supply paper and even layouts with different, well, blank paper for your splash pages that fills the whole page, and we also have different, all sorts of layouts with different size boxes. We'll have colored pencils, markers, and crayons, but we don't have as many colored pencils as everything else, which is everyone's favorite.
Okay, so
if you do have a favorite tool, you're more than welcome to bring it with you.
Is there a limit to people who can participate, or do they need to register ahead of time?
There's no registration.
Okay.
So, and if you can't come to all 3 dates, that's fine too, because we did this last year, and we had some people who could only come to 1, some who could come to 2 because of vacation, since that's the only problem with doing this in the middle of summer. People go on vacation.
Yeah.
But they can take it home with them, bring it back, and then we also told them last year if they didn't quite get it completely finished and they finish it at home, they'd bring it back, and Rufus and I would love to look at them.
Oh, isn't that great? So, you know, I really like that it's not only the opportunity to collaborate and to learn, but they can keep coming back and get that feedback. That's important. And it's interesting because, you know, we've done a lot of other creative writing type of programs, you know, whether we have groups that meet or we have NaNoWriMo month. But this time, it really shows you the importance of graphic novels in not only education, but in the way somebody expresses themselves. Because maybe you have a child who doesn't really want to sit down and write longhand or type, but boy, they have some kind of expression, or perhaps they want to team up with a friend. I can't draw, but boy, do I have a lot of ideas. And, you know, I think that that'd be kind of a neat way to express yourself, to combine something. So for those people who think you cannot learn out there from comic books, it challenges you on so many different ways. So that's really wonderful. And anybody who walks through our graphic novel section, if they just open up those books, there's a series for adults called Fables, where it's a retelling of all of the fables that we're used to. But, you know, some like Snow White and Rose Red are superheroes, and it can really challenge you to think of things from a very different perspective. So I can't tell you enough how excited I am that this is coming to the forefront of the library system. So we also we've got our graphic novel workshop at Lakeview. Also, they're doing it at North Branch. So
on July 12th, there's this kind of a one-day do-it-all thing. So if one day works better, you can go to North. If you want to divide it up between weeks, you can come to Lakeview. So kind of a whatever works best for your family.
So that kind of brings in another question with the workshop. There are so many different types of comic books. You know, we've talked about superheroes and classics. There's also, and I might not be saying this right, manga?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that is? I see a lot of people reading it.
I just tried to read my first one, so I don't know as much about it, but they are traditional, like Japanese style books. So they read, and this is what I had the biggest issue with, they read right to left. And not only opening the book, but the pictures and the dialogue. Yes.
Kind of.
And so I could remember to hold the book right to left, and flip through the pages, but it was hard to get used to reading the pictures and the dialogue right to left. So they're just kind of even more of I'd call them almost more of a novel, even than a graphic novel and they're usually really ongoing. Like they'll have 30 or 40 volumes of some of them that are really
same characters.
Same characters, just completely way ongoing with the story.
Wow, and it's really interesting to see that that's translated over into the United States. And I've seen a lot of kids all kind of hunched up, laying all over the reading chairs at the library, really into it front to back. And so they're comfortable enough, and yet they're challenging this whole other side of their brain. It's like they're learning a whole new language. So again, wonderful opportunity. There are graphic novels for every taste, so that's very exciting. So we don't necessarily like to compete at the library, but we are going to have a contest for graphic novels. All right, so Let's talk about that. Where are we doing it? How long are we doing it? Who can do it?
Everyone can do it, and it doesn't matter what library you go to, or if you go to all of them.
Okay.
You can turn in your very own graphic novel that you've created to any location, or I don't know if we can email. With our other contests, you've been able to email them. I don't know for sure, but you might be able to email it too.
Might be able to scan it and send it as an attachment.
If you have a scanner at home,
right.
That might be a possibility.
Check the website for more information. As that develops, we will update it.
But yeah, the entire month, July 1st to 31st, all ages, whether you're a 4-year-old with a box of crayons or a 90-year-old adult, you can put together your own original graphic novel and share your ideas with us, and then we'll have a panel of staff from Peoria Public Library to give first, second, and third place.
First, second, and third place. Any first, second, third place in all categories, all ages, any ages. So everybody's going to go up against each other, and this is really important to note because just because the adults may have been drawing a little bit longer, some of those kids have really good creative stories. So this is a pretty even playing field.
Yes, from the workshops, this is the 3rd year Lakeview's done the workshops. There are some genius ideas out there, from evil Girl Scouts to a party at Wayne Mansion with every single superhero, and the Joker shows up and robs them of all of their powers.
Oh my gosh. So sky is the limit here.
Yes.
So any kind of fantasy sci-fi theme? There have got to be some sci-fi themes in there somewhere. We've got a huge sci-fi reading community, so I'm expecting something like that.
I'm sure there probably will be.
Oh my gosh. So first, second, and third from a panel of library graphic novel experts. And prizes, I'm assuming, will be awarded?
Yes.
Do you guys know what those are? Gift cards?
Gift cards to Barnes & Noble.
Gift cards to Barnes, so they can buy more.
Yes, and Barnes & Noble is a pretty nice graphic novel collection, so if that's really your thing, they can spend it on anything there.
You know, it's interesting because in the spring they do a free comic book day where you can go into comic book stores, and I'm not certain how they designate what the free comic book is. They do the same thing with record albums, but people should be on the lookout for that because even in Peoria we have the Acme comic book store.
And you can't get down Glen when that's going on.
No, you can't. People are just crammed up. You think there was some kind of sale going on at the Lariat, but no, everybody wants their free comic book at Acme. So that is important to note as well. So we've got the workshops, we've got the contest, we've got the movies. Am I missing anything else?
I'm trying to think because there's so much that I'm trying to think. We've got the movies with the new books,
right?
The contest, and the workshop.
Okay.
I think that might.
Okay, we've got a lot of it covered. So that's one thing. Another thing that's really important to know, we've kind of talked about how we do have collections at the library, and I've noticed when I go out to North Branch particularly.
They have a phenomenal collection.
They have a phenomenal collection, and and I've noticed that they have things all the way from the Jimmy Corrigan books, which are highly illustrated, to the Fables series, to Wonder Woman, contemporary Wonder Woman. But if there are books that people are dying to have in our collection so we can circulate them, is it possible to request those from the Peoria Public Library?
It is.
It is, and how would people do that?
They can come up to, well, several options. They could either, if they're in the library, notice we don't have it, they can approach whoever's working our information desk and say, hey, I was looking for this, don't see it, and then we can either look and see if we own it and it's checked out. If there's someone maybe even outside of Peoria who owns it, we can send it in through the library hold system, or if you think, hey, this is a really, really great one, you should have it in your core collection, we can even fill out a card for your request to purchase. And as long as it's in print, we should be able to add it to our collection.
It is a request, we know that.
Yes.
But usually we try to accommodate that if we can, right, with whatever powers that we have.
Right.
So you've worked in a lot of the different branches, especially when we had the renovations. I know they moved a lot of you guys around. What graphic novels are people checking out? What are the hot titles?
There's Amulet is really, really popular, which is kind of about these two kids who their dad died, and so their mom moves them somewhere else to get away from the sadness of this. And while cleaning the basement, they discover a portal to another world. And that series is just hugely popular, and we still have kids coming in, when's the next book? When's the next book? 'Cause they want to reserve it for when it gets published, and I think it's not until summer or fall that the next one comes out.
Oh my gosh. And then, so that'd be for what age range, would you say?
I'd say about probably maybe 7 to 14-ish.
Okay.
Because I've seen a wide range of kids read it, and I've read the first one. Obviously, I'm not 14, but
right.
anyone can appreciate it. But it is nice to know that down to 7-year-olds can. I've seen them read it and take away a good experience from it.
And with a boy and a girl main character, it sounds like either boys or girls could kind of enjoy that.
Definitely.
And so that kind of covers some of the younger kids up to 14. Let's talk about teens. Not quite adults, teens, a little more adult content.
Sure.
So what kind of books would they be enjoying, or would you recommend?
What I've heard them coming in and looking for lately is the New 52, which is DC Comics' revamp of all of their characters, and they reduced it to 52, which is where New 52 came from.
Okay.
We keep having them come in. Do you have the New 52? Do you know? And it's several years old that they revamped this. But
really?
All of a sudden, that's what we're getting a lot of. Do you have the New 52? And then Saga of the Swamp Thing. We have a lot of teens.
So we've got two kind of old things that are making a comeback. So, and you said that was DC, not Marvel, or was it Marvel?
It was DC.
DC. Is Marvel still in business?
Marvel is.
And so what's their big hot title? Because Marvel and DC Comics were at one time
you can tell
big ones.
When a new Marvel movie comes out.
Got it.
Because ever since Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, we've had a lot of, I need Spider-Man. And then specifically Spider-Man that I haven't seen Amazing Spider-Man 2 yet, even though I've wanted to.
We need to schedule a program.
They're wanting the storyline between Peter and Gwen Stacy that takes place in this particular movie. And I know when Avengers was out, we were all about the Avengers. Not just Thor, not just Captain America.
The Avengers. All the Avengers. So like X-Men, it's going to be all about X-Men. Now, it is also important to note that not only do we have maybe the graphic novel treatment, sometimes we have an actual written book, and then sometimes we even have DVDs or Blu-rays of Spider-Man cartoons, not just the movies, but we have cartoon treatments. I know that I did a Batman film series, and we actually showed animated Batman cartoons. So I grew up with the Justice League, you know, so I mean, I'd love to do a whole viewing party of that with the Wonder Twins. Maybe we will schedule one of those as well. So we've got the kids, we've got the teens. Also, kind of what we're talking about, the superheroes, it's interesting. We've talked a little bit about how reading graphic novels challenges your way of thinking, makes you kind of see things in a different way, challenges your critical and analytical thinking skills. But also, we discussed a little bit before filming that a film like X-Men can actually, or the Avengers, can teach children how to deal with differences with other people or prejudices with other people. So, you know, for any parent that might see their kid reading a graphic novel and think, gosh, I wish they'd read the classics, they're learning salient things that they can carry on to their daily life in just a graphic, what you might say it's just a graphic novel. So we've got kids, we've got teens, adults. Adults are coming in, they're checking out graphic novels. What are they interested in?
Theirs are all over the place. Their interests truly are. We have some graphic novels over in our adult side that are from everything. I just read one called Peanut about a girl. It sounds more like a younger one, but I've seen adults check it out too. But it's about a girl who moves and decides when she gets to her new school, she's going to take on a new personality and pretend to be allergic to peanuts.
Okay.
Really random. But I see the adults check out the complete standalone, has nothing to do with any other graphic novels.
Wow.
One's like Peanut, and then there's another one called Page by Page that's the author has other graphic novels, but they'll check those out, and then they'll go back to X-Men, Iron Man, and all of those.
What a diverse audience.
Yeah, you know, the adults will come in and ask for absolutely anything. Just they'll usually say, "Where's your collection?" if it's their first time, and then just you'll see them going all over the place with the titles
and wander. Yeah, and that I think truly, we like to say, don't judge a book by its cover. But in the case of graphic novels, you kind of can't judge a book by its cover, and you want them to judge a book by its cover because that's what's going to draw you into that material. You can usually see, and even wandering through those, you can see what books might be a little bit more adult themed. versus, especially when you see that the characters are maybe college students or adults even older than that. So that's wonderful. And it's also important for all of our viewers to know that we have staff members who love graphic novels. So if they're looking for something in particular, they can certainly look for you or Rufus at Lakeview. I'm not going to name any names at the other branches, but we have a lot of people at every branch who, if they don't read graphic novels, they know what's getting checked out, what's kind of circulating. So that's exciting. Before we kind of close up for today, and before we completely stop, I want people to know that we've got, in the month of June, some other programs that are going to be continuing at our other library locations. It's very, very important that they get a chance to come down to the Art Gallery at Maine. We've got the fantastic Lincoln and the Civil War exhibit. So this is a traveling Smithsonian exhibit that'll be up during June. And hanging on the walls from our own local history collection, we actually have newsprint from when Lincoln visited Peoria. And he was here, I want to say 17 times. So plenty of material, all ages for that. We are going to continue summer reading Monday nights at North Branch. We're going to be showing movies that are all animal themed for Pause to Read, including Milo and Otis. Love that movie. March of the Penguins, threw a documentary in there. My Dog Skip, and Racing Stripes. So we're not favoring any animal during summer reading. We want everybody to come out, watch those. Kids can come out in their pajamas. It's Monday nights. Music in the Mackenzie, also at the North Branch, will feature Rebecca Rigo and the Trainmen. She sings a lot of songs about trains, but she sings other songs about other topics too. And also the Third Thursday documentary series continues, North Branch. This month we'll be featuring Standing in the Shadows of Motown. We all know the famous Motown songs. We know Smokey Robinson, we know Gladys Knight, but very rarely do we give tribute to the guys that played in the backing band behind those people. And they probably collaborated on more hit records than anybody ever known. So as always, people can sign up. They can get Passages, the newsletter. They can go online. They can look at our digital signage. We have programs going on in all of our library locations. So tonight we thank Katie Baumel from the Lakeview branch for stopping in, and you can catch up on all of our programs at www.peoriapubliclibrary.org, where you can view our events or sign up for a digital edition of our Passages newsletter or sign up for a hard mail copy. Until then, please visit our website. We'll see you at the library. Have a good night.